The essence of a fintech is to revolutionize the way how we interact with money by making money management less intimidating, convenient, affordable, and ultimately inclusive for everyone. The next generation of tech solutions and products will be very much built around the notion of building a society, building a community, and making ultimately people feel more comfortable with the user journey.
Hello, Tamara. It is a pleasure having you in the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me as well, Tanu.
Thank you. Thank you. So, this podcast is all about how can we build more purpose-driven fintechs. So, what's your take?
That's a great question, and I'm very happy that you're starting with this one. Um, I always start with the same sentence. I think that the essence of a fintech is to revolutionize the way how we interact with money by making money management less intimidating, convenient, affordable, and ultimately inclusive for everyone. So therefore, I think that the purpose of fintech as an industry is really to drive a positive change and ultimately to address challenges or issues that each one of us as an individual, as an adult, is facing by working and collaborating with the existing traditional financial institutions. So the goal of fintech ultimately is to improve access, accessibility, better user experience for each one of us on a daily basis. And I'm thinking that like being an entrepreneur and running a fintech company, that the company's mission, vision should be deeply addressing specific society issues that are relevant for all of us, like challenges that we as consumers of financial services experience almost on a daily basis. And I want to give you an example. I just came back from Brazil, from Sao Paulo. I'm very much passionate about supporting several financial institutions there to ultimately offer investing options to their end consumers. And I wanted to give you some interesting statistics. Only in Brazil, in 2021, there were around 16 million of adults that were unbanked. So basically, they were not receiving any financial services from the traditional incumbents. And 2 years later, especially now in the beginning of 2024, what we see is that Brazil took the number one spot of the country with the biggest adoption of neobank services per capita. So now the statistics show 43% of the population in Brazil is using financial services through a neobank, through a fintech. And I think this is the purpose of the industry, ultimately.
Yes, definitely. Because, like you said, we're bringing access to financial services when it was not a reality for someone just a few years ago.
So that's so much true.
So, tell me a little bit more about the Velexa. What is your purpose?
Velexa has been born with one key mission, and it was very much around the democratization of the investing space and enabling every other to manage proactively on their own their investments. So we started with that concept of how do we democratize the investing space and provide access to everyone. Interestingly, our mission evolved over the last couple of years because we understood one key thing. It's not only about providing the access, but it's also about engaging the end consumer, the end investor, to adopt this new investing journey. Because as I shared with you, the majority of adults are very much intimidated by investing, by managing their finances on their own. So our vision and mission statement evolved. It was around providing the access, supporting any financial institution around the globe to provide the access. And then we started realizing is that what we offer should be enhanced such that we guide, coach, educate the end user to ultimately adopt this user journey. So it's interesting because the company is positioned as a B2B, a business to business company. So we're a B2B player specifically, but what we develop, what we build is very much around the end consumer and end investor. And there was one simple reason why I actually chose the path of B2B space. And that's because I believe that, like that, collaborating with various financial institutions around the globe, we can actually achieve a much bigger impact globally. So we work with local financial institutions, local fintech partners that are consuming our platform and our solutions. And as such, we are able ultimately to attract a much bigger customer segment towards this new investing journey.
Yes, and I want to expand on that because as a founder, there's multiple B2B businesses doing similar to what you do. So, as a founder, what made you believe that you could win?
I agree with you that there are lots of companies emerging in the wealth space specifically. And WealthTech is a very dynamic niche of fintech. And what I consider as a wealth tech are companies that are disrupting the existing status quo in wealth management. And I don't think there are so many of us, and I would like to see more, because if there were more of us, I believe that the statistics will show a different adoption of investing services within retail. And now what we see is only 10% of actually people globally, on average, invest and manage their finances. So I personally think that within the next 24 months, we are going to see a massive increase in the adoption of the investing services. And why I believe that we specific resonate is because our mission is not only focused on providing the services, providing the access, but also it's very much focusing around the educational element of it. I am personally passionate about raising financial literacy around the globe. And as a technology company, we are so much focusing on closing that gap by providing very powerful tools and systems to make the user's journey, to make the investing journey less intimidating. And our main focus was always being the end consumer, to develop a solution that ultimately fits into the needs of every other around the globe. And the second concept of innovation that we are driving is very much around building the partner ecosystem, because one company cannot build it all. We cannot build a full end-to-end digital wealth management user journey. But by partnering with the ecosystem of the other wealth tech partners, we are able ultimately to build and bring this end-to-end user journey in place.
Definitely. And I like that you started with the story of Brazil because basically, in the past 10 years, we've had, as fintechs, as an industry, we've had a ton of impact. We have. However, I think the problem statement continues to be huge. And sometimes, if you look at stats, especially post COVID, like financial stress is still there and continues to be an issue. So, what do you think we can do as an industry to have 10 times more impact in 5 years' time?
First of all, I think we have to totally rethink our responsibility around money. That's the first thing. And I think that education should start from home and then continues with school. I think that there are so few countries around the globe that have financial literacy or financial management classes being already at school age. So I think that the first thing that we should think about is that financial management skills should be part of their school curriculum program. They should start from very early school age and then continue through our university years, where we become more competent about how do we manage our finances. And then it's irrelevant what type of application you use, as soon as you feel comfortable that you can do it on your own. So I think it's around building an entire ecosystem where you work with government authorities around introducing these financial management classes. It's then work with the existing traditional incumbents to support and bring that educational element into their offerings and services. I travel around the globe and talk about financial literacy and education. And just to plug here some interesting facts, in Thailand, in universities, students have mandatory classes about their financial education, how do they invest into the local exchange. In Brazil, you have financial influencer. There is even a regulation around influencer, what they can share with the audience. Like the largest influencer in Brazil has 22 million listeners. So I think that the industry is changing so much. And what definitely we see is the demand for education, demand for content. And I think that should be structured in a much more, let's say, organized and regulated manner.
Mhm. Yes, definitely. And let's assume I like that you use the word ecosystem, like governments, like education, fintechs, like all of us. We need to work as an ecosystem to make this a reality. So, how good we measure that impact? How do we know that in 5 years' time we had 10 times impact?
You mentioned something interesting previously, financial stress and physiological, maybe well-being are the two things that I want to stress upon. I study a lot the Gen Z attitude towards financial services. And I again want to give you an example here. So Gen Zs consider their financial health more important than their physical health. And they really focus on that. So I think that one of the key metrics we should consider is that financial health, financial well-being. And I think this could be measured by several different metrics. What is your income stability, investment growth? And here again, an interesting statistics. We see the rise of several university for kids to teach them of how they can manage their finances and money. And even though they don't have quite lengthy statistics, what we see is that 100% of the children that go to these universities, they become ultimately daily investors. They manage their limited funds, whether it's 100,000 euros, or they manage them on a daily basis. So I think that one of the key metrics is definitely that financial health, financial well-being, and everything around financial stress indicators and etc. There are a couple of very interesting tools that we currently see into the industry. Another example where, for example, we measure how many times a user will enter, for example, his online banking, but will not perform a transaction. That means financial stress because you either check whether the funds have arrived, or you check whether you have sufficient funds to pay something. So there is so much more that we can do in terms of clearly understanding how to measure financial stress and financial health.
I like that because exactly, it's like we are measuring the symptoms. So, it's measuring the symptoms of financial stress. So, part of the having this impact, basically, we materialize this impact through fintechs and through the products that fintechs build as such. What is your take on what constitutes a great product in the context of fintech?
I usually say the following. I believe that the next innovation within the fintech engagement to be building an application and an engagement tool that, first of all, has lots of educational content. So it's able to engage the users. But second of all, it's helping to build a community around it. So the social element of it, I think we are going to see it more and more frequently in finance, especially once you hear about the stories with influencer amassing 22 million people audience. I think that the next generation of ultimately fintech solutions and products will be very much built around the notion of building a society, building a community, and making ultimately people feel more comfortable with the user journey. And on our side, we have been really working with partners to build these kind of innovative solutions, whether they are robo-advisory solutions, which was really the first place for nascent investors to think with, to more of a social trading type of features and communities. it is so about understanding that the Gen Zs of the world want to belong to a community. And this is what they expect from financial services as well.
Yes. And now that you say Gen Zs, I like you've used them as a demographic, but I want to change the conversation towards another demographic that it's like women. Women and investments. What can you tell us about like how do we empower more women to grow their wealth?
It's an interesting topic, and I'm having it with you. So two women talking about that because it could be way much more and most probably open and first-hand conversation. I First of all, I believe the women have amassed more wealth is to regional than men, especially after COVID. And for example, in Southeast Asia, I think 51% of women now hold the wealth less. A very few of them are proactively managing their wealth. Even if you look at, there were very interesting statistics. Maybe I should not forget to mention that one. In the US, 86% of all wealth asset managers, advisors are admitting that their main customer is men. So the reality is that the industry has always been very male dominated, and an industry that has been very much approaching a male customer segment. And I am not really pitching that we should be building a women focused products, but I think that there should be more services that do understand the risk profiles of women and how we invest and how we manage our finances. And women are not by far not emotional. And this is the first thing that you hear from somebody in the industry. They say women make emotional decisions about their investing. It's not the case. Women take more time because they like the time. So they take more time to make an assessment, and they are long-term investors. So they're not speculative. On average, they earn more than men. So I think we should clearly understand this customer segment. And this customer segment most probably requires different type of an engagement. And why I'm saying that, because the challenge with women is that they feel insecure that they can reach it on their own. And 60% of women still would like to receive advice. In their case, I do see a lot of the need to have a hybrid approach with them, a digital application that is available at their needs all the time, but still the physical contact with somebody who they can reach and ultimately get an advice from.
That because you were reading my mind. I was about to say, yes, but if we do not build a women specific product, like how do we do that? But then you gave the response before me asking that it's the a very simple way is having that hybrid approach. Yes, you want to be able to self-serve in the app, and you also want the ability to maybe bounce back ideas with the advisor or with another human so that then you can verify that it's the right decision for you. Cool. Moving on more around you and Velexa. Can you tell us who are your customers as such?
This is a business to business company. So we serve financial institutions, FinTech players around the globe that would like to expand the services that they offer to their customers with investing or wealth management solutions. So our customers range from traditional banks to neobanks, by far one of the most growing segments, to security houses of existing big banking institutions as such. In Europe, what we see as well is that there is a very main, very significant player on the market that through their super app managed to offer lots of investing services in different asset classes and markets. That's Revolut. And I think that what we see right now at the moment is that some of the existing players, so especially in Europe, the market they're seeking is how they can replicate the Revolut success and how they can offer such kind of services to their customers. Um, my experience globally showed me that Southeast Asia is by far the most developed region in terms of offering digital wealth management solution. And what we need to do is really to copy the success stories that we see in Southeast Asia. And there's so many of them. To give you an example, there is a very unique use case in Thailand when one of the largest retail banks joins forces with the messaging app to create ultimately financial services for the messaging app clients. And within 6 months, they managed actually to get 5 million of customers. 5 million of customers. I don't think being Europe has such a success case. What I would like to see is way much more adoption, way much more actually eagerness to understand what we can do within this space, specifically in Europe as a continent.
Yes, can you expand on that eagerness to understand?
In the majority of the cases, and this is one of the biggest challenges that we are facing, is our customers struggle to understand what is the business case, the business potential about offering such kind of services to mass retail or mass affluent. If you think about it, wealth management has always been focusing on high net worth individuals, ultra free net worth individuals. Now, what we're trying to understand is what we can do to support mass retail and mass affluent with the same type of services. And the majority of the customers that we talk to, or prospects we talk to, they struggle to understand how many of the existing customers will convert into investors. What is the revenue stream from behind it? How to advertise it? How to pitch this kind of a solution? So this is first and foremost a challenge that we are trying to address. So the educational journey is not only within the end consumer and the investors. We all go through that, yes? It's like a living organism. So we get more innovative as fintechs. We are trying to coach our customers, the financial institutions, of what they can do better. And at the end of the chain, you have the end consumer on the end investor, and we need to try to get them engaged. So we have to coach them.
Awesome. And what I like that you mentioned the learning journey and education journey. It's two ways. It's not just to customers, but also to fintechs as such. So, what are the other pain points that your customers have?
I think I'm going to give a very standard answer, and it's in the majority of the cases, it's very much the legacy infrastructure and the legacy ecosystem, legacy even technology that they're using. Because first of all, not only do you have a new generation of investors emerging, the Gen Zs of the world that expect totally different service from the financial industry, but what we are also seeing is that constant evolution in terms of the products and the services that you could provide. So speed to market is extremely important. And therefore, the way we structured our offerings is very much to provide a turnkey platform as a service, a software as a service solution, because I personally think that 70% of the entire investment that institutional should put in is in marketing and ultimately advertisement of the new services, of engaging the end consumers, and everything else would be done by us with our help and support. This is the second thing that we are ultimately trying to address. How do we replace quickly an existing, very legacy IT architecture and technology and move to a very much newer modern stack within 3 to 4 months?
Got it. And just to build on that, you are, the Velexa is an award winning company. What's the secret? What made you award winning?
I think that our vision and mission statement resonated. It resonated with the market, and it resonated with our customers. I have to share with you is that the customers that we have been onboarding over the last couple of months, they all share the same vision as us. They all want to ultimately improve financial literacy, help everyone invest and grow their wealth. So I think that the first and foremost important thing really is the fact that our vision resonates. And we do care about that. So we are a partner in grind for all these financial institutions, all these players that like ultimately as us to provide access to investing services. So I think that this is something that I constantly stress. And looking back now in the last 2 years, were extremely rewarding for us. I actually think this is one of the key success factors. The fact that we really had a vision and a mission that resonates with the industry. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we learn to scale up with our customers. And then, as I mentioned, we learn together with them. And with every single new project, with every single new engagement, we get better. We understand the market better. And one of the reasons why we work so much with local players is because we realized in the very beginning, we will not know every single flavor or local market. Yes, we will not know, for example, how the customer would engage in Thailand or customer would engage in Brazil. What was very much important for us is that we build this partner ecosystem and we understand really the local specifics of how we actually become relevant.
Yes. And I like your learning mindset because, yeah, it's about learning, right? What are the challenges that you've had with your clients that you're like, hey, we've had these challenges, therefore we overcame them, therefore we learned this or the other? What type of challenges do they have?
I mean, of course, where do we start from? I am a big advocate for starting with a very small proposition and testing it on the market, understanding what is the engagement rate, and then expanding it. So that's actually is how do you prioritize? What do you offer to your customers? Knowing who your customer is, because we serve organizations that have a very different customer segments, and they could range from mass retail to mass affluent, even institutional customers. So you need to know who your customer is. And I have listened to many of your podcasts, and I think most of the people sitting here in this chair will say the same. You should know who your customer is and know how to focus on, what to focus on. And then it's all about speed to market to get it out very quickly and constantly innovate. Become very agile in terms of the services that you offer. And it could be on a monthly basis, even on a weekly basis and such.
Yes, I think you raised many good points that it's like, hey, know the customer, but speed to market as well. I would like to add also the commercial side. So we can have customer impact, but that is not enough. We need to ensure that we have commercial impact as such. How can we ensure that we also have commercial impact? What's the secret there?
I have to share with you some of the observation by as well from the influencer space, and especially where people are sharing their success stories in terms of investing. So that's the power of a community. That's the power of ultimately giving examples and use case of how do we drive that commercial impact? How do we support not only the end consumer to be successful, but the financial institution as well to have ultimately a commercial solid revenue stream? I think also that in the next 2 to 4 years, the industry will look very different. And because of that generation, because of this transition of into the hands of a different customer group, a different customer segment. And we need to change. Otherwise, we would be completely missing the train that is going that direction.
Yes, and that's something to keep in mind as we build today, right? That in 2 to 4 years' time, the industry will be different. FinTech will be different just by the simple introduction of AI. That now it's like some people are using AI, others are not, but in 4 years' time, I think most of us will.
And then your question, do you use AI for your investment needs?
For my investments, not for my investments. I use AI a lot for kind of any question that I have. Any question that I have, I just go to ChatGPT and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And then, for example, if I am looking for a tool, instead of going to Google and asking, I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, can you do this? No, I cannot. And then I'm like, oh, can you give me like a list of 5 AI tools that can do this? and it gives it to me. So I use it a lot to answer any question that I may have. But what I did do once was I downloaded all of my transactions from my bank, let's say 6 months. I uploaded it and I was like, hey, can you give me recommendations and insights? And it was not smart enough. But this is just like the basic ChatGPT. It's not the super advanced paid model. But no, I have not used it for my investments as such. Have you?
I do. I read somewhere interesting statistic that the second most asked question to ChatGPT is how do I make money? Well, we are on our side. We are very passionate about the introduction, most probably of AI or ChatGPT more formally into the investing journey. So for us, ChatGPT is just another kind of I don't know, an intelligent investment tool that you can use to be able to make advice and people to actively and proactively actually use it. And you're absolutely right. This will change the industry. And we saw it. If you think about it, several years ago, we had the rise of robo advice, which helps really nascent investors to understand the user journey. I think we were going to see more and more of ChatGPT introduced as this journey. In certain cases, we face challenges, for example, in with certain regulators that do consider that a ChatGPT is still an advice, and therefore we need to have a specific special license to be able to offer such kind of services. So I think we're going to evolve more and more into ultimately embedding ChatGPT as just well intelligent tool to gain advice.
And that's a good point because exactly it's advice, but we cannot cross the line if you don't have the license to give advice. So I'm very curious, what other questions have you done any research on when it comes to money? Okay, I go to ChatGPT and its most asked question, second most asked question is how do I make more money? But are there specific questions that people are asking when it comes to investments that you're aware of?
Well, they are. They are. I mean, uh, again, investing is an ongoing journey. So you start with something that most probably you're very familiar with. 75% of the entire flow around the globe will go into the US market. I'm not a surprise. And most probably three stocks. Yes. So common question to ChatGPT is where do I invest? Or would you help me to understand what was the price growth of this company, for example, compare it with a specific period of time? And the interesting thing is the following. Once you feel comfortable with a specific market, with a specific asset class, let's say I'll invest in funds or I'll invest in stocks and ETFs, then your desire to explore more markets just exponentially grows. And it's interesting because at that point, you start realizing what your risk appetite is. And this is where you have different questions going to ChatGPT. For example, you mentioned that you want to see ultimately like insights in your spending habits or transactional habits. The same thing is happening with the investing journey. So you can go and check, okay, ChatGPT, I'm very much interested in a different market, in a different country. I will give you an example like free markets. Maybe that would be Hong Kong or Saudi Arabia. So would you help me to understand the market, how you invest and etc. So I think the the like the appetite is there. And the more you learn, the more you train, the more you invest, the more appetite you have to explore different markets. And this is where ChatGPT sometimes helps a lot.
And that is very key because if we think about, you talked about the influencers, that some people argue they are good because they educate, but on the other side, you're like, they are not certified financial advisors. So it's that fine line between those two things. ChatGPT or any GPT, it's going to be the same thing. Like it's giving me this advice and this information, but is it really reliable? What is it based on? There's so many questions around the the answers that it gives me. And I just probably there's people already doing this that they have their own how to make money GPT or how to invest GPT, and that they fed some information and then I'm asking something and it's based on not reliable information. That's risky.
This is sometimes the question I receive when I speak it in front of different audiences. So if you think about 25-year-old, if they don't get it from a TikToker or ChatGPT, where else would they get it? They don't have access to advice services. Yes, their traditional incumbent bank will not even provide it to them. This is the question I constantly receive. This is like countering back tomorrow. Where do we get this information? And the challenge is that there is also so much information, and this information needs to be structured. Yes, it needs to be structured. This is what we try to do also in our solutions and services. How do you structure the application that it can completely personalized to your own needs? Yes. What is Monica trying to do? What is Tamara trying to do? Yes. What are my goal-directed investing and plans where I would like to be? And I think this all should be connected. And the application ultimately should feed you with very personalized content, test your appetite, and then provide more and more information. Yes,
Exactly. And it needs to be in a
very
responsible manner and very upfront. Hey, this does not constitute financial advice. Look at it as inspiration, let's say, or a starting point rather than a finishing point. Amazing. So I'm going to move on and I want to move into a fireside chat just to learn a little bit more about you and your way of thinking. So, what is your approach to creating a winning strategy?
That's a great question. I think that for the first time in my life, I have followed my mission in life. I know what I stand for, and I wanted to build something that corresponds to that, to my own personal mission. And I started from the trading floor. I never left the industry. I have always been in the capital market space, and for the first 10 years of my professional growth, I really never managed my finances on my own. I never really invested on my own account. And I was thinking, why? What's the reason? Why do I feel intimidated? And then I went so much into that space, and I started realizing is that we definitely lack compelling services to make each one of us feel comfortable to understand our finances and manage. So it was very much around starting from my own personal story and what I stand for. So I'm so happy. I think I'm blessed because I found that mission online and I live day in, day out, just to focus on that, to raise financial literacy and ultimately help adults, individuals around the world to feel more independent.
Yes. And as part of that journey, I'm sure you've had a ton of failures. So, what are your lessons on failing?
I try not to use the word failure because it puts people off, it puts me off. I actually see every failure as just an iteration. And I think that from that, I learn what would work next time. I think that I found my resilience in that. And I think I'm my worst, the worst enemy, me, because I judge myself almost on a daily basis. And then I recalibrate myself on a daily basis. And I say, how can I be better? How can I do more? So now I learned something is that I really do not consider a failure as a failure. It's just an episode in my life that helps me understand what will work better next time.
And which mindset did you learn once you became a CEO or founder?
There is something very important in running a company, and it's about people and the people who surround yourself. And these people have to complement you, people smarter than you, and they should share your vision. They should be on the same boat with you. They should share the same mission statement to make it work. What I realized for myself is that as CEO, I'm a storyteller. Yes, so you have to build the vision. You have to engage, excite people on your story and why they should join you. That's the most important thing as well throughout this journey.
That is very important because, yeah, people need to join your business. So, what is then the piece of advice that you wish somebody gave you And now you're like, I need to tell everyone.
We read a lot of founders' books. I speak a lot of with other founders, and we all discuss that. I think it's the main advice I liked in the beginning is to protect my time, to protect myself as well. As a founder, as a CEO, especially in the very beginning of the journey, each one of us is very operational. It's engaged almost on an hourly basis in the business. And at a certain stage, you start realizing is that you definitely. So I think that the most important thing right now at the moment is I measure return on investment. The investment is my time. So where do I have to dedicate my time? Nobody wants to see a stressed CEO. Nobody wants to see a worn out, burnout founder or CEO. So I know that for the company, for my customers, for my team, I should be strong and resilient. And to do that, I am very much protected now of my time. Where do I invest my time?
That advice. But it's very true. No one wants to see like a stressed, angry, burnt out CEO. That's not the inspiring thing that you said a minute ago of you need to be able to inspire and rally the troops to help you build the mission. So now this is my very last and one of my favorite questions for that I ask everyone. That is, if you could change one thing in fintech that could have the most impact on customers, members of staff, and shareholders, what could that be?
It's, as always, it's about education. So how do we actually educate our consumers, our investors to feel way much. So I would focus on that. I would focus very much on that, enabling more of this educational financial literacy journey, even with traditional incumbents, through the help of FinTech.
I love it. Awesome. Tamara, it's been a pleasure having you in the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity as well.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week. Ciao.